All right, let's talk about building a real MEP schedule in Primavera P6. We're not just going to click around the software today, nope. We're going to architect a schedule from the ground up, focusing on the one thing that truly matters, logic. Because let's be honest, if your logic is wrong, your schedule is just a fantasy novel. Let's get into it. This right here, this is everything. This is the golden rule. I want you to burn this into your brain. We've all been there, right? A manager gives you a hard deadline, and your job is to cram everything in to make the dates work. That's not planning, that's just wishful thinking. Today, we're going to build a schedule that tells the truth, a tool that reflects reality, because it's built on a foundation of solid, undeniable logic. So for this entire process, we're going to live by a simple mantra. Say it with me. No dates, no constraints, just logic. That's it. Think of it this way. We're building the project's skeleton. If you put the leg bone where the arm bone should be, the whole thing is going to collapse under pressure, right? It's the same deal here. A logic-driven foundation is the only way to build a schedule you can actually count on when things get tough. Okay, so where do we even begin? We start with the project's architectural blueprint. And in the world of P6, that's your work breakdown structure, your WBS. And listen, this is so much more than just a fancy way to organize your activities. The WBS is the very framework that determines how you track progress, how you report costs, and how you communicate with everyone. If you get this part wrong, you're flying completely blind for the rest of the project. So you fire up P6, and this is what you see, a blank slate. And right here, this is where the first huge mistake always happens. So many planners see this and just start dumping activities in like it's a giant to-do list. But that's not what a WBS is. It's a hierarchy. It's the structure that allows you to give a real answer when your boss asks, hey, what's the real status of MEP installation? So our first move is to lay down the 4 main pillars of any MEP project. This setup isn't random. It perfectly mirrors how work gets done in the real world. You engineer it, that's your design. You procure it, you buy all the parts. You install it, you put it all together, and then you test it. That's your commissioning. Design, buy, build, test. This simple, logical flow sets the stage for everything that follows. And that brings me to a hard rule, a non-negotiable one. If your WBS doesn't have testing and commissioning as a top-level element from day one, you have literally designed your project to finish late. I'm serious. Commissioning isn't just the last thing you do, it's the goal of the entire project. You have to plan for the finish line from the moment you leave the starting blocks. Okay, now let's dive one level deeper into the installation phase. A classic mistake is to throw all your trades, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, you name it, into one big, messy bucket. On a real job site, that's just chaos because every trade follows its own logic, its own sequence. By separating them in the WBS, you can actually model how they interact and avoid something called false float. That's when your schedule lies to you and says you have more time than you actually do. And we go deeper still. Under each trade, we break it down by the fix. This is absolutely critical. Your first fix is all the concealed work, the stuff that goes into the walls and above the ceilings before they get closed up. Second fix is your main distribution, the big pipes, the cable trays, and the final fix is all the visible stuff, the grills, the sockets, the light fixtures. This structure perfectly aligns your schedule with the actual physical sequence of construction. So why does this matter so much? Here's the rule. If you don't separate your fixes, you have zero control over your ceilings and finishes. It's that simple. You can't logically tell the schedule, hey, don't close the ceiling until the first fix HVAC is inspected if first fix HVAC doesn't exist as its own thing. This is the structure that prevents endless arguments and costly rework on site. Okay, our WBS blueprint is done. It's strong, it's logical, it mirrors reality. Now, and only now, do we start framing out the project by adding the actual activities. But you already know the rule, right? We are still not touching any dates. Now, take a look at this. We have our beautiful WBS structure, and we're populating it with activities. But what do you notice? Every single date column is completely empty. This is on purpose. I know the itch to start plugging in dates is almost unbearable, but you have to fight it. We are still in the logic-only zone. Let's talk about engineering for a second. Here's another golden rule for you. Every single submission activity needs its own separate approval activity. If you just have one task called shop drawings and you mark it 50% complete when you submit them, you're lying. That isn't progress. Progress is getting the drawings approved. Anything else is just a potential for rework. Here's a quick but really important technical tip. Use the right activity types in P6. For almost everything you do, installation work, approvals, submittals, you're going to use task-dependent. But for a major event, like a final system handover, use a finish milestone. It has 0 duration, and it acts like a giant flag in your schedule that says, this is officially done. And a pro tip, avoid using start milestones for MEP start. It just makes your logic a tangled mess. And procurement, it is not just one long bar on your chart. It's a chain of events, and each link matters. You've got the material submittal, then the approval, then the lead time for manufacturing, and finally, the delivery to the site. When you break it down like this, your schedule's logic will physically prevent installation from starting until the materials have actually arrived. No more crews standing around waiting. And that brings us right back around to where we started, commissioning. You know, this is where projects fall apart. That last 5% that seems to take forever, it's almost always because commissioning was an afterthought. Well, not in our schedule. We're going to plan the handover with the same detail and respect as every other part of the job. Look at this level of detail. Commissioning isn't just one activity. It's a complex sequence of flushing pipes, testing systems, getting authority inspections, final approvals, and then the actual handover. The absolute biggest mistake a planner can make is to have one single activity called TNC. That one bar hides a mountain of potential delays. By the time that bar starts to slip, it's way too late. You've lost all your visibility. And so, after all that disciplined planning, what have we actually created? We've built more than a list of tasks. We've built a powerful, logical framework that is a true reflection of how this project will actually be executed on site. This screen right here, this is our checkpoints. We have a complete, intelligent WBS. It's populated with detailed activities. Everything is clean and organized. And most importantly, there are no dates, no constraints, just pure logic. This is the solid, professional foundation that you can now use to build a truly reliable schedule by adding your durations and your relationships. So let's just quickly recap what this discipline gets you. We have a correct MEP WBS. We have clear separation between the trades to prevent on-site chaos. We have engineering and procurement logic built right in. And crucially, the entire commissioning process is visible and planned for from day one. What we have here is a foundation built on logic, not a house of cards built on guesses. So I'm going to leave you with this. Go back and look at your own project schedules. Ask yourself honestly, are your project dates built on a solid foundation of logic, or are they just a guess? Because you have to remember our golden rule: if the logic is wrong, the dates are lies.